What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel once again. I have my esteemed colleague, Pat Guy, my cousin. How's it going?
It's going good. I'm excited to talk about the new Batman.
Yeah, I am too, especially with you guys. And I also have Pat's older brother, and he's been on this channel before as well for the Dark Knight trilogy video, and that is Tim Guy. How's it going? He's also my cousin.
I'm also Alex's cousin, older, cousin that Alex always looked up to. You can find me on Facebook, guys. So I would love to. I would love to talk about the Batman because I just saw it a couple of days ago, and I'd love to hear what you guys thought about it too.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting. So I've already done a spoiler-free review. I've done a spoiler review just solo. Didn't have any guests on those, but this is going to be a roundtable discussion for three big Batman fans, and for you, Tim, somebody who was very skeptical going into this movie because you are not the biggest Robert Pattinson fan, and from what I've heard too, you are not the biggest Zoe Kravitz fan either.
No, and yeah, I was skeptical going to this film, but I tried to remember. I know in a previous video we made about the Dark Knight trilogy, I was skeptical in 2005 about Batman Begins and Christian Bale being Batman. But I look back, Alex, and I'm like, I didn't really see a lot of Christian Bale movies back in 2005, so I didn't know what a talented actor Christian Bale is, and I'm gonna now start looking at some more Robert Pattinson roles because I thought overall, it was pretty well done. So I tried to go in with this with a kind of an open mind, and I think in the end, it kind of helped.
I think it took a lot of convincing from both me and Pat to get you to go in with an open mind. Because just this background, if you don't mind me talking about it, you were dead set on like, why the hell is Robert Pattinson cast as Batman? That Twilight guy, why is he Batman?
Yep.
And me and Pat were just like, no, like watch his other movies.
Watch The Lighthouse.
Like watch his other movies outside of Twilight. Like he is phenomenal in them.
I was gonna watch Tenet, but you guys kept telling me you couldn't hear the conversation in the film.
Tenet took me 2 or 3 viewings to fully
put on the subtitles.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
It's definitely one of those where Nolan plays with sound, and it took me three tries to actually appreciate that movie and understand what was actually happening with that movie.
Okay.
But
we're 3 tries though? 3?
Yeah, it took me. The second one I liked. See, I didn't like it all that much when I saw it in theaters. Then I got the 4K, and I was like, okay, I like that a little bit more. And then I watched it again. I was like, I like that more than the previous couple viewings.
Was it better than Interstellar with the all right?
No. I don't think. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Tenet is not as good as Interstellar?
I don't think so. I think Tenet tries to do too much because it's about like time manipulation and all that. Tries to do way too much with that stuff.
You didn't really sell me with that.
Interstellar at least had like cool space travel and like had some more thought-provoking themes, except for that really predictable fifth dimension plot twist that we all saw coming like 900.
All right.
And then at least had Robert Pattinson, who's the new Batman in the film that we're talking about in this video.
Exactly.
Sorry.
So back to the Batman. So with all that taken into consideration with you, Tim, overall thoughts on Robert Pattinson as Batman?
Yeah, and I know a little bit of the history behind Batman, because I'm a huge Batman fan, and like I know the comics kind of took a turn kind of in the 70s where it became a little bit darker and a different kind of take on Batman. I honestly thought Robert Pattinson did a really good job. He wasn't Bruce Wayne a ton in the film, so I feel like I can't give like an honest
assessment of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, assessment of necessarily his Bruce Wayne, because he wasn't Bruce Wayne a ton in the film. I mean, probably 100% out of 100%, he was maybe Bruce Wayne for 20% of the movie. Maybe
I would say less.
Maybe even less, like 15, 10% most of the time.
Yeah, I would go closer to 10. Yeah.
Most of the time, he had the cape and cowl on, and he was the world's greatest detective. So, but overall, I think his Batman was a good mix of like being this kind of like terrifying figure at night, and also though I like how they blended that with also the fact like he's still trying to figure things out. Like it's kind of like it reminded me in some ways of like Batman Begins, where he's trying to figure stuff out. But this was it felt much more geared towards like the comics, because the Dark Knight trilogy was not really anything a lot like the comics were. But I like the fact that he was trying things out. It's like he still was figuring things out. I liked in the film where he was kind of like writing stuff down, like in a journal. I thought
Yeah,
that
and
was a really
you have that voiceover with him too, like
yeah.
saying the stuff he's writing down.
That
I thought that
helped
was a
with
really
the
interesting
noir
take. I thought that was
stuff.
an interesting take and getting like a different perspective on like a man who's like he's not even sure if he's
Right.
making a true difference
Right.
in Gotham.
Until
Like
the
he
end.
well, yeah, until the end. But I like that, especially like in the beginning where it's like, okay, he's a younger Batman. It's year 2 of
Yeah.
him trying this out, and when you think about it as like a normal person, like this is freaking nuts what he's doing.
Yeah.
But like I overall was really happy with Robert Pattinson's performance, and I'm actually now because of it going to go back and watch some of his other performances. Actually,
Yay. Robert Pattinson fan club.
no, I didn't say that, but I'm saying I'm open to watch other things, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah. Pat, what about you?
I really liked his Batman a lot. I actually think he's my second favorite Batman behind Christian Bale now.
oh wow,
Um,
Damn.
I just thought, he like you guys were saying, he's not really Bruce in this movie much, but I think that actually opens up fun possibilities in like a sequel to see him have to develop like a more public persona if he does start to.
There's
Because
definitely
the fact he's like a recluse is such a big part of like who he is in this movie. Like he's so focused on being Batman that he's like giving up everything else. Like the public hasn't seen him in like forever. He's not like going to board meetings or going to like galas. The only time he goes out in public as Bruce Wayne is for a funeral. Like that shows how like morbidly reclusive he is. And he's only there to do his job. He's not there because he liked the mayor or commissioner or whatever. Like he's just doing his job.
Yeah, and then going back to what you're saying too, wasn't there something like the first scene with Alfred, which Andy Serkis I think is a really good Alfred as well. Even though he's not in the movie all that much. I think there's also like some passing lines of dialogue where Alfred's like, well, I had to move the board meeting to here because you just won't go to Wayne Enterprises.
He won't go, he just doesn't care about that stuff because he's so invested in being Batman. And I think that's an interesting take. It reminds me a little bit, Michael Keaton was a little bit that way in the first Batman movie. He's kind of reclusive. People aren't really sure. Like, he hosts like a party, but even the people at the party sometimes don't know who
they don't even know who he is. Yeah, they don't know who he is.
So I liked that with him, and I love that they dived more into Batman being a detective because that wasn't something the other movies did much of.
Right.
Besides like Christian Bale being like fingerprints. Like that's like the only time like I liked that. It took some adjusting to get used to this version of Batman being the type of Batman that's gonna stand in a room with a bunch of cops and just kind of look at stuff.
Hey,
like,
buddy, what are you doing?
Yeah, like I mean, it was an interesting like to see that dynamic because I'm so used to it at this point. Like a more modern Batman is like would wait for the cops to leave and then he'd like sneakily climb through the window and like skulk in the shadows. Like I'm so used to that Batman that when he just walks in with Gordon and the cops are like, what the fuck? I was
what
like,
the hell's he doing here?
I'm like, who the hell? Why is he here? Why is he waiting till they're gone? But like I like that. That was interesting.
I think what Pat was saying that reminded me a lot more of like the show that I grew up. I mean, the Emmy award-winning Batman animated series, that reminded me so much more of the animated series where you had so many, episodes of like something's going on and Jim Gordon and Batman or even Robin later on in the show are literally at a crime scene together, right? And like we never really saw that in any of the other real movies or any other reincarnation of Batman, which kind of what Pat was saying. I mean, that was kind of cool. And at first, it was kind of weird because you're kind of like, well, wait a minute, like what the hell? Like this is very different. But at the same time, that's part of the Batman story too, and that's part of what's been told for the Batman story too. Like in the past, like he's been there in the comics and in other mediums portraying Batman. They're actually helping in some cases the Gotham police force trying to find people.
Yeah, and I think they really hammer it home too that it's like he's like best friends with Gordon and Gordon only. Like the rest of GCPD hates his fucking guts.
Yeah, he doesn't like them either.
But I feel the feeling's mutual.
The last thing I'll say about Pattinson, like for now, is I think they did a good job where he doesn't say much. He's kind of very quiet,
Yeah.
but when he does speak, he's just very like calm and like collected. But then he has those flashes of anger against his enemies, and he's just so expressive with his eyes that I think any of those people that have argued for years, oh, you got to have lenses or whatever to have the whites of Batman's eyes, like the white eyes. I'm like, no, you in a performance, especially like this, so much of his performance is through his eyes. When he just looks at people, you just like it's just so good.
Yeah,
like, I thought he was great as Batman.
And I thought I thought it was most of his scenes too, where he is Bruce Wayne. He's not talking all that much either.
No, he's listening a lot.
It's more like, especially at that funeral scene, like he's just looking around.
When that person's like, "Hey, Bruce Wayne," and he's just like, doesn't like say anything.
Gil Coulson is missing. What? He hasn't been heard from since last night. Christ, not again.
Hey, Mr. Wayne. You got people looking for him, Jim?
Sent a couple guys to his house. Nothing.
What does his wife say?
She hadn't heard from him.
Like that was good. Like I gotta say, Robert Pattinson, by the way, Cedric Diggory, a Hufflepuff. Gotta shout out to him. Greatest of all Hufflepuffs, the true Hogwarts champion.
God rest his soul.
J.K. Rowling needs to like shut the hell up about a lot of politics. But he was Cedric Diggory. He was a Hufflepuff. And I'm proud of him that he has come this far as an actor, and he is Batman, and he has earned the right to be called Batman. Yes. So I like Robert Pattinson's Batman quite a bit.
Yeah, I think his introductory scene, like after the Riddler opening scene, which is great.
Oh
yeah, which is
terrifying too.
Yeah, dude, like every other scene either has Ave Maria or the dun 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 dun,
or the Nirvana song that plays like 3 times.
Really? Where was the Nirvana song? I didn't miss that.
It was towards the beginning when he's narrating. He's like October 31st,
and it's at the end too.
Yeah, and it's at the end. Yeah.
I gotta watch it again.
Yeah, but after that great Riddler opening, you get that voiceover narration, and then his entrance as Batman. That scene where he takes out all those thugs, I was like, that was a great entrance scene for Batman.
Even before that, I love going from different criminals around the city, looking into the shadows, and like he doesn't show up. And but the fact they're terrified that he's about to show up,
because
like, oh shit.
Yeah, because in the voiceover, he's like, they look to the shadows, but I am the shadows. And when they put that spotlight on, that means like, oh shit, like he's out. Like we can't mess with this guy.
It's very similar to one of the opening scenes of The Dark Knight. It's a very similar situation where the symbol is like, you have more chance of winning the Powerball than running into him. Like it's like guys being scared of the symbol. So it's a very similar scene. But I like that this scene played the horror more, where it's like you look down that alleyway and it's like, is he about to show up? Should I be afraid?
The one shot that I love in that scene where he beats up those thugs in the train station is like, I think they knock him down and then you just slowly like see him rise up and you just see the back of his cowl and the bat ears, and it's like, oh shit's about to go down.
Well, I think I like that opening, like you guys were talking about the opening scene too, and I like the fact that he's again still kind of figuring stuff out, and he's not like swooping down in. He's not like just like walks in.
There's like a couple moments where I'm like, did Batman just tase that guy? And then like at the end, I'm like, did Batman just throw that guy into the line of fire?
But I like the physicality of that. The physicality of that first scene where he's not like this rock star with all of his gadgets yet. He's still kind of like figuring stuff out, but like the physicality of it and kind of the fact that he's still getting hit. I mean, he's not this like Cobra Kai like karate fighter master.
Cobra Kai.
That's what I noticed with
Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
But I like that he's still like early in this process. He's still figuring things out, and he's not even sure necessarily about himself yet. He's still kind of like, okay, like I'm doing this every night, but am I truly making the city a better place? You know?
Yeah, exactly. And what you said, like, shit. Now I lost my train of thought. Damn it. It'll come back.
It's all right. I'll get it back.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, almost every scene. I mean, he's in what I would say 90% of the movie as Batman, like in costume. Like
probably, yeah.
You can just suspect something's like gonna like. There's just that like sense of, I don't want to say like brooding, I guess, because I wouldn't necessarily say brooding would be the way to describe him, but there's like that sense of like something's going to happen because Batman's in the scene.
Yeah, he's very like quietly calculating at all times. Like he's constantly thinking, like as he's there.
Right.
Which I gotta say, one of the things I love most about this movie is the atmosphere, the grimy kind of noir atmosphere, and Gotham itself. I think is
I love Gotham in this movie.
Major character in this movie, where like as much as I like the kind of Art Deco Gothic Gotham from like Tim Burton, and as much as I like the more realistic Gotham from Christopher Nolan, I think this Gotham struck a good balance of being still the Gothic kind of comic-y Gotham, but also felt modern, and it felt like you had that like Times Square type place that had all the statues everywhere.
Yeah.
They had the Gotham Square Garden or whatever it was.
The Gotham Square Garden,
yeah. I love that. And I mean, there are so many instances throughout this movie too where I did have that feeling where it was like, this feels like it's ripped straight out of the Burton films. I think the ending actually, where he's like shimmying on the Jumbotron, and just the way that that's filmed, the musical score by Michael Giacchino, who's fantastic, by the way. That somehow just reminded me of the like Tim Burton films. I don't know why, like, but I was just enamored, I guess, in that like Tim Burton's world when I was watching those scenes. And I don't know if you guys also felt this too. I think what really helps this movie, being a detective movie, is that it has this really like Seven meets Zodiac type of vibe to it as well.
Very Fincher.
Yeah, very Fincher.
I actually would have, if I didn't know any better, I would say David Fincher might have directed this movie. Actually,
exactly. It feels like it was for sure.
The brilliant Matt Reeves of Planet of the Apes fame.
Yeah. Yeah,
I like the fact too that kind of what you guys were talking about with Gotham, but I like the fact too that it gives a good balance too, like you guys were saying, and then it's also like I feel like everything is like dirty. It almost gave me a sense of like, and I know I've always been kind of a New Yorker at heart, but it reminded me a lot of like what New York City was in the 70s and kind of the 80s, where it was this place where it's like the inequality, the lack of hope, the kind of like the urban decay of like this great city. And it gave me this kind of sense of that. Like Gotham, it was almost this like comic-y version of what the struggles that like New York City was going through in the 70s and 80s, where people were just like, holy shit, like it's gotten this freaking bad.
That's definitely the sense that I got. And the way that Gotham also looked in this movie, I felt like it was like 90s Gothic-ish, because I remember at one point I think they said that this was supposed to take place in the 90s. But that didn't happen because they're using like iPhones and shit. So I was they're like that threw me off guard because I saw in the trailer. I remember like
the Riddler's on social media or whatever. Have that in the 90s.
We can get the masks. I love the comments. It's like, we can get the masks at this store.
The Riddler, though. Speaking of the Riddler, this was such a different take on the Riddler, but I thought still had the core of the character down. I thought he was terrifying. I think it was a genius idea to blend the Riddler with the Zodiac Killer, with like the outfit, with the cryptic like decoded messages, like all that stuff. And like just the creepiness of those point of view scenes you have of Riddler where you hear his breathing and that's all you hear. Yeah, it's like terrifying through the mask.
Like even the creepiness of like the opening scene where you're seeing it through the binoculars. Yeah. And then you see like somebody like his point of view like crawling in through like a window of Mitchell's mansion. And then you see just Mitchell standing there. And the moment he moves, Riddler's right behind him. Yeah. It's fucking terrifying.
He was very scary.
Oh, sorry, Pat, go ahead.
I just thought he was very scary, and I thought they did a good job modernizing him with the things like making him a big like. It felt like he was some extremist guy on Twitch.
Yeah,
that was like
and the thing is too is it's like he doesn't have that many followers. Like it's a
no,
cult.
yeah, like he has 500 followers. I'm like, I have more than that on Twitter. F you, Edward.
It's not that big of a deal, guys. But
I think like kind of to add what Pat was saying, and I'd love to hear what you have to say too, Alex, about this. I think the version that they made of Riddler fits so well into kind of the atmosphere we're all living in right now.
Right.
This kind of obsession with social media, this idea of like online, we don't know what's real, what isn't. He also kind of like represents like the anger of society against corrupt politicians, corrupt judges.
Yep.
Like
definitely.
He almost represents like the loss of hope even in democracy, and even in this like this democratic city in Gotham. Like, dude, like really, like this is all a freaking joke, basically.
Yeah,
like all these people are just making money and like screwing everybody else, and like they brought him to a really dark place that I think is a reality, unfortunately, in our society. And also too, they kind of made him into this like domestic terrorist type character, and that is something we're also like in reality like a real legit concern right now. Like and so I think they did a really good job of like what Pat said, keeping the fact he's still the Riddler, but he's like this darker, more like modern take of Riddler, like post 20.
Yeah, he's not Jim Carrey in the onesie pajamas.
Yeah, but he was still he had his moments of humor, like the fact, and it's like creepy humor, but how excited he was that like Bruce picked up his call, like just like he was such a fanboy, like he wanted to work with him. Like, oh, he picked up, like
well, yeah, and then like the live stream at the end where it's like where you actually like see those like right before Bruce finds out that like he's gonna flood Gotham, and like Bruce is and Batman's looking at that like live stream video that he's looking at with the cop. He just comes into frame. He's like, "Hey, everyone."
And like even like the thumb drive being a thumb is so dark, but also kind of fun. Like that was. Clever. I thought he was great. Like he was so great, and his riddles overall I thought were really like fun and interesting.
Rattalada.
My wife Casey, which obviously you guys know, but her only complaint really was that she likes detective stories that she can more figure out as well as we're going, and she didn't feel like they set it up enough to give the audience a chance to figure it out as well.
True. Yeah,
that's a legitimate point.
I'll give Casey that for sure. I also felt that, I mean, it's a detective story for sure, and of course there's a lot of moving parts as we go further into the movie, but for a while I didn't feel like it was as involving as like past Batman detective stories, because I was like, is like even at the beginning of those types of stories, like there's so much happening in those stories, where I feel like in this it was just like, all right, he's murdering like this politician, all right, he murdered the GCPD commissioner Savage, who he's gonna murder who does he murder third? I forget.
The DA?
Oh yeah, it's Coulson. Yeah,
the DA. Yeah, the Gotham DA.
Yeah, Coulson.
The one like part of the movie that I thought kind of lagged with the mystery and with the whole chunk of the movie where they do have, we're looking for the rat with wings.
Yeah,
like
Rattalada.
They kept it must be Penguin because penguins have wings. Oh, you know what else has wings? Bats. Oh, you know what else has wings? Falcons, because Falcone. I'm like, that's a fucking stretch.
Okay,
that was a stretch. That was a stretch.
Falcone or Falcone?
Okay, so this is the
debate.
Both.
Right? It's both, isn't it? Both. I've heard both.
It is both, because just like the Corleones in the Godfather series, in the original Italian, you would pronounce the E at the end.
Yeah, Corleone.
But if you're in America, they call them the Corleones. It's both, essentially. Like, it depends on the version. In this, they went with Falcone. The Nolan movies was Falcone. Gotham was Falcone, I believe. So, and it all depends.
John Turturro, I really liked as Falcone.
He was great. I thought he was one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah,
he was good. I liked him too, actually.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm so used to him being like more of a funny kind of character.
I know, that's the thing.
Humor about him, but he was like dark and scary. He's strangling people. Like
he had to do with Bruce, like with Thomas Wayne's past, where it's like, that stuff where with the journalist and all that.
Yeah.
Well, you think of him as like a Transformers, like Sector 7,
Sector 7. This is a do what I want, get away with it badge.
Did you guys ever see him? I don't know if you've ever seen the Spike Lee movie Do the Right Thing, but he was really He was really good in that. He was a lot younger, but I think he was great as Falcone. And I don't know, but I don't know what you guys saw, but I thought Colin Farrell was like phenomenal as the Penguin.
Dude,
I didn't even. I mean, if I didn't know going ahead of time that was Colin Farrell, I never would have got that.
Best Penguin for me, live action. I like him more than Danny DeVito. I'm not saying he's as good as Heath Ledger, but I'm saying he disappeared almost in the same manner as Heath Ledger did as the Joker.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's kind of hard to compare, but I do get what you're saying, Alex, about the fact like it wasn't
like
Colin
just the
Farrell.
Prosthetics, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't Colin Farrell at all. It was like
there were a couple moments where he was like, you could tell it was him from his voice. Like he couldn't really hide like his actual voice too well in some moments. But other than that, like like he blew me away as Penguin.
Yeah,
the Penguin has been my favorite Batman villain since I was a kid. Like I used to watch Returns more than I watched 89 growing up because I liked the Penguin.
Even not on Christmas.
But like I thought he was great. I thought it was a smart move to make him more of like a mafia like enforcer. Who now can set up, he could rise in the ranks and become like a mob boss. They finally had the Iceberg Lounge, which is a staple of the Penguin.
Dude, that car chase.
He was great. Like even he was the funniest part of the movie. Like, whoa, hold on there, sweetheart. And like even like when he was just there showing him like the stuff, he whoa, what are you showing me? Whoa. Like,
Dude, well, and then when he's tied up in that scene too, and he's like, it's just gonna leave me here, and you just see him waddle like a penguin.
That's one of the only story beats in the movie that I really have a problem with. I was telling Tim about this. Penguin just blew up probably like at least 10 people in that car chase. And they just let him go.
Yeah.
Gordon doesn't arrest him. Batman doesn't hang him upside down.
That's very good point.
They let him go. I'm like,
just let him go.
What?
Yeah, that's very true. But that car chase though, that was
amazing.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I
love that Batmobile. That muscle car Batmobile.
Dude, like I think
that might be my favorite Batmobile, honestly. I think
it gives the Tumbler a run for its money for sure.
I just like how low tech it is. It's like if he didn't have Morgan Freeman helping him out in like the R&D department, he would just soup up like an existing car.
Well, dude, see, the reason why he had the Batmobile was the Tumbler, and because you're right, he had help and from his friend at Wayne Enterprises, but he wouldn't have this state of the art like secret
I love that it's a
war making car if he didn't have Lucius Fox.
Yeah, it reminded me of Adam West, where it was just a convertible car with like a turbine in the back.
Yeah. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was an awesome take on the Batmobile.
Yeah, and then like I I saw the movie again today, and I saw it in Dolby, so it was like Dolby's like louder sound. So like when
I wish we saw it in IMAX too.
Like when that thing kicked on in Dolby and it was just like the entire theater was shaking. Like when that thing kicks on, it's like, oh fuck, like it's on.
Yeah, I mean,
where's the IMAX in Boston?
They're at all the AMC's.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but I mean, I feel like we can't really just talk more about other people's roles in this movie without mentioning Catwoman. Selena Kyle's a huge character.
I really liked her in this movie.
I liked Zoe Kravitz a lot as Catwoman. Like I thought she was a very well-rounded character. I think she was less of a villain and more of like a character that was helping him, but also disagreed with him.
I thought her characterization was better than Anne Hathaway's Catwoman for sure.
Yes. I thought she wasn't quite as fun as Michelle Pfeiffer.
Right.
But I'm biased because
Pfeiffer's too iconic.
Like life's a bitch, now so am I. Like that's
you didn't want her to be Patience Phillips.
No,
I will say that. I will say that I think this is for me also growing up with the Batman movies, the original Batman. I thought Michelle Pfeiffer was in a way almost like extremely hot as Catwoman too. I would say.
Well, that's because she's like.
Like she's getting her fingers bitten off by cats, and I'm like, she's still hot. I'm like, I don't know what. So, but no, I will say that I was actually happily surprised with Zoe Kravitz too. I think I haven't seen her in a lot of roles. Like the only really one I could really think of was X-Men First Class.
It's not her best outing.
That's like when she started out.
She's playing like a super unlikable character.
Yeah. So I tried to like keep an open mind with that. I actually thought her character was interesting. The fact too that. Oh no, we're not supposed to give spoiler.
No, we can. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I think the fact too that she ended up being, Falcone's daughter, too.
Is that in the comics?
No. Well, at least I don't think so.
so.
She has a
I don't think
relationship
so.
with Falcone.
Yeah, because that because when they said that in the movie, that caught me off guard. I was like, wait, what? Like,
I don't think that's in the comics. No.
She scarred his face in the comics just like she does in the movie.
Okay.
Like he has a cat scratch,
Yeah.
but I don't think they're related. But I might
No.
it might be in the comic that I read.
Because originally, I thought about it like for a split second when I was watching it the first time. I was like, I don't really like that, but
I think it worked
it
because
works.
I think it helps with her relationship to her father and Bruce struggling with the relationship he thought he had with his father.
Exactly.
And then he learns all this stuff and he's like, holy shit, maybe my dad was a god-awful person. But unlike the Harry Potter movies, by the way, where they made James Potter turn out to be an asshole and then never resolved it, Alfred's like, okay, he screwed up once. He was a good guy, but he did screw up once. Like,
J.K. Rowling, sure.
So I liked that there was that, like, because you're so used to Thomas Wayne being like the only great guy in Gotham, and he's trying to save Gotham, and it's like he was still that, but he did mess up. And I liked that they went into Martha's history as an Arkham. I thought that even was interesting.
Yeah, with like her mental illness. Yeah.
Yeah, that was all interesting. I was like, okay.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it's like, oh, maybe Falcone had them killed, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it didn't seem like that's what I think is most likely the way they set it up, where they said that once Bruce or Thomas said he was going to go to the authorities.
Which, to my knowledge, goes against what's established in the comics, where it's Joe Chill that kills them.
It's a random person. Yeah,
it's not even Joe Chill, really, necessarily.
Oh, okay. Just a random person.
Yeah, but I like that too. The whole like dynamic of like,
I like. Sorry to cut you off, Tim, but
go ahead.
I like that like she has like her own set of goals, and then Batman has like his own set of goals, but he wants her to help him, and she wants him to help her, but for different reasons. Like she's trying to find her missing roommate, and then she's just gonna get out of Gotham. Like she's like, there's nothing here for me, you know.
Yeah. But I kind of add what you were saying, Alex. I kind of like the way where like. Again, we haven't seen. Well, I guess we did see in Dark Knight Rises kind of this romance between Batman and Catwoman. But I like the fact that he chooses really over her. He could leave with her if he really wanted to, but she doesn't see any hope in Gotham, and he sees hope. He sees this city can be saved, and he decides to stay. And she leaves, and you could tell he almost regrets it. Near the end of the film, where he's kind of like, "Oh, damn, am I actually making the right decision here?"
Yeah,
like, I could go with her right now, but
I think some of that final imagery where he's carrying the people out of Gotham Square Garden, and like you have that shot where he puts the kid in the stretcher, but the kid grabs his arm, or it's like, "Don't let me go." Like I think that's when Batman realized it's like, okay, maybe I can be a symbol of hope, or at least one of the moments where he realized that.
And I like the fact at the end too, like because at the beginning of the movie, he's like, what are you? He's like, I'm vengeance, kind of thing. Yeah. It's like he realizes he has to be more than that. Like maybe that's what it was in the beginning, but after everything that's happened in Gotham and what people really need, like the citizens and the people of the city, he has to be more than that. He has to be
the White Knight.
Yeah, he's got to be more than just that. He's got to be everything really for people. No?
Yeah. I really liked how they thematically connected, obviously, Catwoman to Bruce because of their parent thing happening, but also Riddler to Bruce through them both being orphans. Yeah. And that was also connected to Thomas Wayne. And that whole sequence when he's talking to him in the behind the glass, and the whole scene, Matt Reeves is making you think that Riddler knows that he's Bruce Wayne. When in actuality, he doesn't. He's just fixating on Bruce Wayne because, as far as he knows, Bruce Wayne got away from that bomb.
And I just love how Batman's like unhinged in that movie. He's like, "What did you do?" You know,
I mean, he thinks in that moment that this guy knows the truth, but he actually doesn't. Like it's just Riddler being creepy and like being like obsessed with things.
Like, and you can tell and I love that too because Riddler toys with him where it's like we could have been like one in the same, like we could have been partners in crime.
Yeah, I liked that whole dynamic between them a lot. I loved Batman and Gordon in this. I think it capitalized on
dude. Our
Dark
boy
Knight
writer Jeffrey Wright as Gordon.
Yeah, he was great.
He's a great Gordon.
And I actually like too that they portrayed Gordon as an African American actor.
Yeah,
which I thought was a different interesting take too. I feel like there's a lot of more modern elements of the Batman as well,
Definitely.
like Catwoman as well. I mean, I know he had some of the famous like Eartha Kitt and like famous
Yeah,
people in
when
the
people are
past.
like, "Oh, the first black Catwoman," I'm like,
That's not true.
no.
That's not true.
Moron, you're a
And then
moron. You're a
unfortunately,
moron.
How dare they turn Catwoman into a person of color? I'm like,
yeah,
she
there's stupid people
has
on the
been
internet.
before. What are you
Yeah,
talking about?
Yeah,
there's
those
stupid
are just
people
the
on the
Nazis
internet that said
online.
that.
Yeah.
Who said that?
Stupid people on the internet.
Oh, yeah, just a bunch of Nazis.
But no, I mean, I just think everything as far as the characters, I thought was handled very well.
Right.
The one thing, like the one major problem I have with the movie that I wish wasn't in the movie was the setup scene with Joker.
Yep.
Or the
Yeah.
mysterious inmate.
I don't like
it's
that.
definitely
Arkham
supposed to be
prisoner.
Joker.
I don't like
It's supposed
that.
to be Joker.
Yeah.
It felt like those scenes in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 when Harry Osborn is like talking to that mysterious man who's like, "Oh, we're setting up a team of sinister people," and it's like, okay.
I was telling Pat Alex that I hope they don't go down the Joker path again.
I hope they don't either.
I think Joker is obviously an iconic character, and he's one of the best villains of all time in comics, pop culture history. But I really do think Batman.
We're just burnt out with him at this point.
Well, yeah, and I think it's time that Batman goes back and look. I mean, it's such a great character, bunch of villains that Mr. Freeze, all these other people you could do. I mean, I threw my cards in for Man Bat. I don't know what you guys think about it.
He's good. I remember playing Arkham Knight, and he's
King Tut, baby.
Out of me.
What about Egghead? Here's a good one. Here's a good one from the cartoon show, The Condiment King, right there.
Yeah. I mean, Batman's got so many villains. Like, I would love to see them do a more serious take on Mr. Freeze, like the animated show did.
Yeah,
I'd love to see.
What about Hush?
Hush with modern villains. Hush,
I would love to see Red
Lord
Hood.
of the Owls. Like,
yeah,
there's so many possibilities, and I just hope they don't go straight to Joker again.
Yeah. I know. I hope not. I hope not.
Same. If they
I like Barry. What's his name? His last name's Keegan.
Yeah.
Like he's a good actor, and I like him a lot. I thought he was great in the Eternals, but it's nothing against him. I just think we need a break from Joker for like a few movies.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
Especially where we just had in 2019 the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. We have
which I didn't like. I'll be honest with you, I didn't like overall as a film.
We have the stupid Jared Leto Joker.
Oh God.
Yeah, from Suicide Squad and Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That was crap.
It's still a thing. I don't know.
Crap.
Yeah. There's too much of him right now. Like we need a break from Joker.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do think the only other critique I really have of the movie is it was all handled really well. It was all paced pretty well, but you started to feel the length.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
By the end, I was like, okay, like this is long.
It did not need to be 2 hours. It felt, I'll say this, on rewatch today, it felt shorter, but it still felt long but shorter.
Well, once Riddler was arrested, I was like, okay. And then you realize there's a whole chunk of the movie left.
Exactly.
I thought that was going to be the end of the movie. Honestly.
Yeah, my first viewing, I was like, oh, okay, like Riddler's like captured. Like we found out what his big plan is, and then I look at my watch, I'm like, oh, there's another 36 minutes left. Like, what the hell are they gonna do? And then it turns. I guess my big problem with the movie, as much as I love the third act, Gotham Square Garden flooding, the car bombs going off, and Batman having to save people, and that whole action scene, that is the third act. I just think it somewhat betrays the tone of the first 2/3 of the movie, where it was this neo-noir murder mystery detective story in the vein of Seven and Zodiac. And that third act, as good as it is, just becomes like a superhero movie.
Yeah.
The stakes did get way higher very quickly.
Yeah.
And they never addressed the fact that Riddler probably killed hundreds, if not thousands, of people when he flooded the city.
Yeah, exactly.
It definitely did feel like a live action version of like one of the animated Batman movies, because like the animated like something where Riddler has a cult and they're gonna try and take out the mayor. Like that's something that would happen in a Batman animated movie. Like I guess the big inspirations for this were Batman Year One, Long Halloween, I've never read Batman Ego, but I guess that was a big inspiration on it.
Definitely some 0 Year influence as well. I believe was that.
Yeah,
That was a Batman origin story a few years ago that had the Riddler and like taking over control of the city.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I give this movie major props though for not doing the origin story thing again, because we've seen it so many times. It was a smart move to make Batman already Batman.
Yeah, but still early, still like year
still
2.
early. Like you didn't have to make it like they didn't have to make it like the first days of Batman or the first year of Batman. It's like, no, he's been doing this for 2 years, but he still doesn't know like his place in the city.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that Ben Affleck was in it. Number one, I like the fact that Jesse Eisenberg wasn't in it. So that was
no connections to
cherry. Is that cherry flavor?
Eisenberg could have been a great Riddler.
Holy crap! What a loser!
You could not be a good anything.
He could be a great
He's not supposed to be a psychopath douchebag. Okay, I mean, Martha. So that just already made it good for me. Like, but I mean, overall, I was very happy with it. I mean,
yeah.
I like I said, like we talked earlier, I was going in kind of like, Robert Pattinson, but like, I think it was a good casting overall. I mean,
yeah,
not everybody can play Batman. Ben Affleck, George Clooney, Val Kilmer, but I think it does open the door. I think they can do a lot from here. I mean, it kind of sets the stage too. I mean, you always bring Catwoman back. I think there's all these different villains they could do. I would love for them to maybe even use Poison Ivy again. Like make her actually.
That'd be interesting.
Not just like ridiculous, like she was in the Batman. My vines
my
have a
cats!
on you.
You're tormenting them.
Oh my God!
Justice.
That might have killed Uma Thurman's career.
Uma Thurman's an icon. She didn't kill Bill after that, all right?
Yeah,
I'm just saying that. I mean, that was just horrible. I mean, she was like, oh, are you boys fighting over little old me now? I mean, it was a nightmare.
My garden needs tending. I'm like,
yeah, I mean.
What are we in right now? Are we in a Batman movie?
I mean, my vines have a crush on you. I mean, it was just like, okay, this is the lamest shit I've ever seen. This is even lame for the 90s. I mean, like, this is even campy for 1990s.
Yes, but you know what the best part of Batman and Robin is?
Nothing.
John Glover creating Bane and being like, I'm afraid you'll have to die.
I actually think that, but also I don't mind the motorcycle scene. I mean, it is kind of lame. Like 90, but they're like, and they're
anything involving Barbara Pennyworth, I'm out.
She's got the little angel on her helmet. He's got the Robin on his
Uncle
helmet.
Uncle Alfred. I'm like,
why didn't they just make her Barbara Gordon?
You're supposed to be Commissioner Gordon's daughter. That's the whole point of your character.
Why did they mess that up? I don't get why they did. But also too, when it's like, what about Batgirl? What about Batwoman or that person? That's not
incredibly PC.
I honestly wanted to. I mean, I have only watched that movie like twice in the last 20 years. Like, you want to like jump out the window when he says that? I mean, that's
it's not terribly
horrendous.
PC.
Or that whole scene at the beginning where they're all putting the suits on. Like, Steve, I've seen too many Robin shots of his ass. I'm like, I don't need to see Robin's ass.
And then
speaking of Robin, though, I want Robin in these movies.
I think Robin would be cool in these movies.
Do a real Robin. Have Robert Pattinson save a 12-year-old boy and recruit him to be Robin.
You know what I'm
thinking? Sounds kind of pedophilia like.
You know what I'm thinking? What when he beats up those thugs at the beginning of the movie and there's that one that kind of like looks at him and then he like lets go?
Yeah.
My wife is now currently going because she said the same thing.
Yeah, I think that they should make that kid Robin.
Casey, come on and join us if you want, Casey.
Yeah, say hi.
Hey everybody who's on my Facebook. Casey is of course the aunt to my son. She's pretty awesome. She knows about comics. She's pretty badass. There she is. Hey, Aunt Casey.
Hey, Casey.
Hey. I'm cooking.
What do you think about Robin?
He's great.
But yeah, that's what we're talking about. In the theaters,
I totally predict he could still do it. He could still come back in another movie. I feel like. Yeah. I know it's a little far, but it could happen.
Some people think it's going to be the kid
I
that.
just think that they've done Robin in the same way in the
Bring Chris
movie.
O'Donnell back.
It's
No.
always like an
No,
adult.
no,
Yeah.
no.
They need an
I think
actual
he's gonna
kid.
be the kid that lost his
It
daddy.
should
The
be
mayor
that. It
stuff.
should be that thug that Batman let go at the beginning.
No,
of the
it
movie.
should be the
Or-
kid that lost his daddy.
Or, guys, hear me out. Robert Pattinson goes to the circus at the beginning of the Batman 2,
No,
and Dick
no,
Grayson's
no.
parents are killed. The flying
No,
Graysons
no,
are
no.
killed.
No. You have the guy who's the kid who's the mayor gets killed, and he's gonna be the next Robin.
Maybe, or maybe they'll pull a Talia al Ghul and they'll introduce Damian Wayne.
You know what I think could happen? I think in the second film called, I don't know what's gonna be called. Maybe The World's Greatest Detective could be the second.
The Batman Part 2.
No,
Well,
no.
you know what I
Give
think
me
would
The
be
World's
cool,
Greatest
actually?
Detective. Okay, The World's Greatest Detective. Batman's going to the drive-through to Burger King, and the kid who's working at the drive-through is like, "I hate my life." Batman's like, "You want to be my sidekick?" Like that would be the way you get Robin. You get him
Get him out of a
drive-thru
dead end
Burger King.
shitty job.
By the way, I'm Bruce Wayne. Here's $1 million.
Exactly. Come on.
Speaking of
come
the
live with me.
titles for the sequels, though, I think it would be cool if they did something similar to what they did with Planet of the Apes, where it's like you have like Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
We're gonna have Dawn of the Batman. Is that what we're saying here?
Well, or like something like fill in the blank of the Batman or something.
We already have Dark Knight Rises. We can't have the Batman Rises. You know?
They should have The Batman Returns.
Oh no.
Or I
The
mean,
Batman comes back.
yeah, or you could like to flip it around a little bit. You could do Return of the Batman, I guess.
No.
Yeah.
What about Revenge of the Batman?
But what's he getting revenge for?
Well, think about it. It's supposed to be Revenge of the Jedi, but then they turn it so you could like do a little like Revenge of the Batman or Vengeance of the Batman.
Ooh, actually, might be cool.
That's not bad, right?
Yeah. Speaking of, like, he refers to himself as Vengeance throughout most of the movie, and Catwoman refers.
He
to him
doesn't
as
call himself
Vengeance.
Batman. He doesn't at all. I don't think once.
He only calls himself Batman once.
Oh,
He's like, I think it's time. He's like, I think it's time for it to end. And then it's either Gordon or one of the other cops is like, what? And he says, the Batman. And that's the only time I think he says Batman in the entire movie.
Oh, the cat's out. Is that Jasper?
This is Felix.
Is that Selena Kyle?
This is Selena. This is. He has the personality of Robert Pattinson's Batman. 100%.
Is that Adam Driver who looks like a cat?
Oh, I can't stand him. I honestly, I know it's a whole other trilogy.
What?
Well,
You don't like Adam Driver?
no, it's not that I don't like Adam Driver. I just can't stand the Kylo Ren character. He sucks.
Oh my gosh.
But back to the Batman. I think the trilogy it's going to be the Batman, the Rise of the Batman, and then it's going to be the Batman, or no, Rise of the Vengeance of the Batman. I think those could be, or Dawn of the Vengeance of the Batman.
It's got to be the Batman 2 with TOO.
No. They could call it the Cape Crusader.
They could. And then the Cape Crusader.
Part 2.
Yeah. Well, I remember I thought that's what Dark Knight Rises was going to be called. I was like, all right, you had Batman in the first title, you had Dark Knight in the second title, now you got to go with Cape Crusader.
Or you could go with World's Greatest Detective.
Yeah. I did like a lot of the riddles though. Like I did like how Riddler was placing like all these notes to Batman at the crime scenes.
I love that.
That was cool. I thought that was a really cool part of it.
It felt so it felt like, did you ever see Dexter, Alex?
No, I didn't.
In the first season of Dexter, there's the killer, the main bad guy is leaving behind messages specifically for Dexter, and it felt like that.
Yeah. I haven't seen that show mostly because I've heard it.
You've never seen Dexter. You like Dark Knight Rises better than Dark Knight. What's the
I
matter with
used to. Yeah. I
do you think World's Not Enough is better than Tomorrow Never Dies?
Oh my God! Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started with that shit. We're gonna do a James Bond video sometime, honestly.
What was I gonna say? Shit.
Yeah, that's right. That's what people say when they like World's Not Enough better than Tomorrow Never Dies.
I will say a small detail I really liked. A small detail I liked was his bat symbol being able to come
like
out.
The Batarang?
Yep.
Yeah, that was sick.
I also liked his flying scene when he's like gliding like he.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah.
It didn't look as cool as Christian Bale's like.
No,
cape,
but the
but
thing
it
I
still
liked,
was cool.
the thing I liked about it though is that it shows how inexperienced he is as Batman because he doesn't land it perfectly.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. I like that too. I
And
also
it was
like
a
the
more
fact.
realistic wingsuit too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was realistic, and I also like the fact there's no nipples, so that's always good. There's no nipples on the bat suit.
But dude,
That's always a positive.
there's a lot of like it's not a very action heavy Batman movie, but there are like some standout action sequences. Like we've already talked about the car chase. The car chase is amazing.
I actually kind of like. I think we didn't bring this up, but I kind of like the where he goes into the club scene where he just like starts fighting people.
Which one? Or because doesn't
The first part, the first one when he goes in.
Okay.
He starts like, beating up guys, and then like all of a
I was
sudden.
gonna say I like the second one where he sneaks in as Bruce Wayne and then he turns Batman and then he's taking out the thugs and all you see is the machine gun fire.
Oh yeah,
that was
actually
cool.
Yeah, that's a cool part. Yeah,
but I really liked him going to the club both times. First as Batman, then as Bruce Wayne. I'm here to see the Penguin.
And then you had those two twins where it's like one of them looks at him when he's Bruce Wayne, and then he shuts the door, goes to get the other guy. He's like, "See, I told you, it's Bruce Wayne." You know?
I thought they were about to pull some shit where the twins were going to be called like Harvey and Dent.
Oh God, no! Oh God, no! Please no! Matt Reeves is too smart for that shit. Yeah. Let's be honest. Matt Reeves is. You know what I think we should do here at the end when we give our grade for the I think we should rank all the Batman movies, like worst to the best.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think. Okay.
Yeah,
so
we can do that.
Alex, you're the host here. So do you want to ask us what we would give the Batman for like either a grade or a number out of 10?
Yeah. What would you, Tim? What would you give it for a letter grade or a number grade?
I overall really liked it. You know what? I actually would give it a pretty high mark. I mean, I thought it, in many ways it honored a lot of like past Batman films and past aspects of the comics and even the cartoon show, which I loved growing up in the 90s because I grew up in the 90s. I'm a 90s kid. You guys really, I mean, you grew up in the 90s too, but you really grew up more in like the early 2000s. And like, like I would give it a 9 out of 10.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually think it's that good. I overall thought it was really well done. There's a couple things I'm like, okay, it was a little bit long. Right. I thought the casting was phenomenal. I thought the writing was really good. I'd give it a pretty high mark. I'd say about 9 out of 10. Yeah.
Nice. Pat, what about you?
I mean, I really liked it a lot, and I think I even have enjoyed thinking about it more, talking with you guys. I think it's made me want to see it again.
Yeah.
I would give it probably either an A- or an A. I think it did what it set out to do. Give us a completely new kind of version of Batman.
Right.
That I think set up the future really well for the Batman franchise. So
yeah,
I would put it not quite as good as Dark Knight, and I think I'd put Batman Begins a little bit above this, but I definitely put this above the rest of them.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I would definitely go A. I just think it dives a little too much into superhero movie territory in the end, even though I do love that ending. But the rest of the movie is great. Like, it's not really a Batman movie that we've seen, or at least a live action Batman movie that we've seen before. I like the neo-noir feel, like the Seven meets Zodiac type of feel that the movie has. Gotham becoming a character in this movie, and I think the casting was spot on. Like, I couldn't have asked for better casting for a Batman movie, other than probably the casting of the Nolan trilogy minus Katie Holmes.
I just wish it was a little bit shorter.
Yeah, it didn't need to be 256.
Yeah, if it could be like 236, the next movie, I think that would.
I think they're all going to be long, but I hope they're not 2 hours and 56 minutes long.
I don't think so. I think.
Yeah.
So where would this rank? So let's now closing this out. I mean, Alex, you're the host, but what do you guys think about ranking all the Batman movies from worst to best?
I got my list right here. I'm ready to go.
I'm gonna pull mine up too. Tim, do you have yours ready, or?
I mean, I'll just kind of wing it. I mean,
we need Letterboxd.
I don't have my list like written down on an iPhone. I was born in the '80s. I just have it all right here. So I was gonna say that I would say the worst is definitely Batman and Robin. I don't know how anybody can really argue that. I would say going up. So now we're doing worst to best. I would say then going up to in that direction towards the best. I would say the next worst would probably be whatever Jesse Eisenberg's in, whatever the one that one is.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you guys, are we gonna include like BVS.
Those are not Batman movies. Those are just
my list is live action Batman movies where he has appeared.
Yeah, I wouldn't count those as Batman movies. I think those are Justice League movies.
Okay, so we're doing strictly Batman movies. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say the worst is Batman and Robin. Okay. Yeah. Second worst is definitely Batman Forever. I would say then it goes Batman Returns. Okay. Then it goes I would say I'm gonna say Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna say the original Batman, just because it's so iconic. Jack Nicholson is great as the Joker, and I love Michael Keaton as Batman, and Kim Basinger is amazingly hot in that movie. So I would say that'd be Batman. That would be Batman. Then I would say after that, I would say then the Batman, the one we just talked about with Robert Pattinson, which was pretty good. Happily surprised. Then I would say it is Batman Begins, and then Dark Knight is still, to me, the best Batman film.
Gotcha. Pat, what about you?
My list goes the worst, definitely Batman and Robin, like Tim said.
Yeah.
Next, Batman Forever.
I feel like this is going to be very similar for the bottom.
Similar, but next I would actually have Batman 89.
Really?
Then I would have
like right before Forever.
Yeah, and then I would have The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
Then I have Batman Returns.
You love Batman Returns.
I love Batman Returns.
I don't know why.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's not that.
Catwoman and Penguin. It's stylized. It's stylized. It's fun.
Penguins with rockets on their backs.
Yes, it's allowed to be a little campy.
I mean, what? That's a little bit out there.
The 90s,
though.
The 90s
that,
were like that.
Casey says it's number one for her, for the record.
My babies.
Christopher Walken as a villain. Come on.
He's Max Shrek. He's like in the background.
That's Max Zorin. How
Max
dare
Shrek is the crux of the whole plot.
No, he isn't.
Yes, he is. He's Catwoman's motivation, and he's the one that brings Penguin to the surface. Hell yes, he is. Then Lego Batman the movie.
Oh shit! I forgot about that.
Tim needs to watch that.
I
He
don't
would
watch
love
that
it.
shit.
You would love it, Tim. Then I'd have the Batman. Then I'd have Batman Begins, and then I'd have the Dark Knight.
Shit, I forgot about the Lego Batman movie.
How dare you? It's amazing.
I know. I didn't. Yeah. Oh no, because my list was live action. That's why.
Gotcha.
Yeah. See, that's what I thought we were doing, but Pat had to throw a whole wrench in the whole thing.
Legos can be live action. I played with Legos before.
The CGI movie, is it?
I don't know. Maybe they use real Legos. I don't know.
Oh God.
Will Arnett better Batman than
Will Arnett's a great Batman, but he's not quite as good as some of the top ones.
Yeah.
Better than George Clooney.
Worst for me, Batman and Robin.
Thank God.
Love making fun of that movie.
It's fun too.
Batman Forever next.
Wow.
And then probably go Returns.
Wow, that's insulting.
And then 89. And then the Batman. And then Rises, then Begins, then Dark Knight.
Well, hold on. Can we go? Time out. You think Dark Knight Rises is better than
I said I had an
Batman?
affinity for that movie.
Fuck that. I'm sorry.
Tim's like, to hell with opinions. You're fucking wrong.
He's
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying the Batman is definitely better than Dark Knight Rises. You don't have the whole kneecap crap. You don't have the thing where he's in Iran and all of a sudden he's back in Gotham. I respect your opinion, Alex. I'm just saying.
Tim's like, I respect it, but it's wrong.
You must all now listen to me when I say the world is not enough is better.
Oh my God! You know what? Most James Bond fans will definitely disagree with you on that. Okay, I will say this: I'm going to disagree without being disagreeable, as President Lincoln once said. But the Batman is definitely better than Dark Knight Rises. So
I agree. It's a more complete movie with less obnoxious plot holes.
Exactly. You don't have that stupid guy who's like, I'm gonna do something that Jim Gordon never was able to do. I'm gonna bring down the Batman. There was none of that crap. There was none of that crap in the Batman.
Yeah, I did appreciate Batman having to fight and run away from an army of cops in this movie. I thought that was cool.
Oh yeah, that whole
like,
scene where he punches Gordon. He's like, "Who's the mustache with the broken nose?" And then and he punches Gordon. They're like, "Get him!" They're like, we haven't really seen a shot of like Batman running through GCPD. I don't think.
Oh
No, usually he's
that
running from the
shot.
cops like the streets.
I love that shot of him like going up on his grappling hook.
Yeah,
like
that was
the cops are shooting at him.
Yeah, they're like shooting at him. And he's like, I love that shot.
Yeah, that
it's
whole
very like year one.
That whole section of the movie, like the funeral, that scene, and then like the penguin car chase, like that whole section of the movie flies by.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I liked it.
Definitely. All right, guys. So that's going to conclude the roundtable discussion of the Batman. Going to go around and get everybody's social medias. Tim, I know you don't have it.
I could give him mine.
Tim, don't give your personal Facebook again, please.
Pat, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at this Pat guy. I've been talking about the Batman on there. I've been talking about the fact that the DC movies that all said they were coming out in 2022 have all now been pushed back to 2023.
I'm going to say this right now.
DC's a joke.
Nobody cares about that Flash movie except
I don't.
Michael Keaton being in it. That's the only reason people are going to watch it.
First of all, why is Michael Keaton coming back as Batman?
As Avatar 2. Shazam 2 is they're feeding Shazam 2 to the sharks. It's gonna die.
First of all, why is Michael Keaton playing Batman in a freaking Flash movie?
Because multiverse, Tim. It's everywhere now.
Oh my god! So now DC is gonna copy the multiverse.
Because Ezra Miller is just like, I want to make a Flash movie, and this is the only story I want to do.
God. Okay, everybody. I just want to say I have a TikTok. You can find me on TikTok. No, I don't. But
I'm like, really?
I was like, wait, what?
If all our fans out there, my cousin Alex and my brother Pat, they're more of the real guys doing this. I'd love to come again as a guest speaker.
Definitely.
So thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You can find me on Meta or Facebook, whatever the name is.
Do you have a MySpace?
I do not have a MySpace. I did have what was the one before that? I had the AOL.
Napster?
Yeah, I had the AOL back in like 2006. But.
Yeah. There you go. Alrighty, guys. Thank you for joining us for this roundtable discussion of the Batman. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.